Loneliness is more than just an emotional state. It can become a deeply ingrained habit, reinforced by psychological, biochemical, and behavioral patterns. Over time, these patterns form an addiction to isolation, making loneliness both painful and oddly comforting. Here's a comprehensive exploration of this phenomenon and actionable solutions to overcome it. 1. Biochemical dependence. Loneliness triggers the release of stress hormones like cortisol while suppressing oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This imbalance creates a hypervigilant state where the brain begins to associate isolation with safety, making social interactions feel unnatural or threatening. Example, a person avoids social events due to the anxiety they feel before attending. Over time, this avoidance reinforces their loneliness as their brain associates isolation with relief from anxiety. 2. Emotional comfort in familiarity. Humans tend to stick with what feels familiar, even if it's painful. Loneliness can become a safe zone, free from the risk of rejection, judgment, or vulnerability. Example, after a painful breakup, someone avoids new relationships, rationalizing that they're better off alone. Over time, this isolation feels more secure than facing the uncertainty of new connections. 3. Cognitive distortions. Chronic loneliness distorts thinking, leading to beliefs like no one cares about me or I'm not good enough for meaningful relationships. These thoughts become self-fulfilling, reinforcing the cycle of isolation. Example, an elderly man interprets his family's busy schedules as evidence they don't love him, even though they frequently call and visit. His distorted perception leads him to withdraw further. 4. Romanticizing loneliness. Cultural narratives often glorify solitude, associating it with creativity, independence, or introspection. While solitude can be valuable, it can also mask deeper fears of connection. Example, an artist isolates herself, believing her loneliness fuels her creativity. She avoids meaningful relationships, fearing they might dilute her authentic self. 5. Fear of vulnerability. Loneliness protects against emotional risks like rejection or betrayal. Over time, this avoidance becomes a habit, making the idea of vulnerability seem overwhelming. Example, a man avoids forming close friendships after being betrayed in the past. His fear of vulnerability keeps him in a cycle of superficial interactions. 6. Fantasy as a substitute for reality. In loneliness, people often retreat into fantasy, books, movies, or online worlds, where they feel a sense of control and fulfillment that real-life relationships cannot replicate. Example, a young woman spends hours on fan fiction forums imagining idealized relationships. These fantasies make real-world connections seem dull or unattainable. Breaking free from addictive loneliness. 1. Addressing biochemical dependencies. Mindfulness practices, techniques like meditation or deep breathing can lower cortisol levels and help rewire the brain's response to stress. Oxytocin boosters. Engage in activities that naturally increase oxytocin, such as petting a dog, hugging someone, or practicing gratitude. 2. Redefining loneliness as a signal, not an identity. Recognize that loneliness is not a permanent state, but a signal that your mind and body are seeking connection. Start small. Initiate brief, low-pressure interactions, like smiling at a stranger or commenting on a colleague's work. 3. Challenging cognitive distortions. Use cognitive behavioral therapy means, CBT, identify and challenge negative thought patterns such as I'm unworthy of love. Replace them with evidence-based truths. Reality testing. Actively seek evidence to counter distorted thoughts. For example, list times when others showed care or affection.
Loneliness as an opportunity. Fearing of loneliness. View it as an opportunity to explore yourself and your needs for connection. Connection is a skill. Like any other skill, be patient with yourself as you grow. Embrace vulnerability. Recognize that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness, and that true connection comes from authenticity. It's possible to break free from its grip and build a life rich with meaningful connections. Loneliness is not a life sentence, it's a call to action.
Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye!